Welcome back to ICO Review. Today is all about going over the relevant news articles for ICOs that we've covered in the last couple of weeks, couple of days. First of all, Naga. The hype train for Naga is very real. They're getting a lot of attention. And it's probably because they're doing things right. Here in front of us on the screen, we have the second of the live Q&A sessions that they've done on YouTube. Couple of important points to cover for you all here. Wladimir Huber, who is the financial director, covered off on some key points, token distribution. He's touched on SwipeStox KPI being the effect that SwipeStox and SwipeStox sales will have on the overall ICO. That's in and around 7 minutes. Then a price prediction, much to my surprise, for 2018 through to about 2022, if I remember the chart correctly. Now, Wladimir puts the coin at $1.56 sometime next year. Our ICO release price being $1 on the dot, which some of you might think is a little bit inflated. But when you consider the current position the company is in, being traded publicly, what the company is worth, plus the fact that they already have a captive audience in SwipeStox, I think the price is somewhat fair given those projections. However, I'm not sure if $1.56 is too modest, to be honest, with the growth we see in crypto and in altcoins, especially altcoins of this hype. But time will tell. And then they move on to a live Q&A in and around 16 minutes and 50 seconds if you did want to skip straight to that. Coffee to make my brain work. And next we'll move on to the Acorn Collective, which have a couple of little things that I believe will spark off a bit more of awareness, a bit more of the hype train. But if we're going to mention awareness, let's just get across the fact that their Facebook has almost doubled in followers in the last 9 days. Their Twitter has more than doubled followers in the last 9 days. And their Telegram as well has almost tripled in the last 9 days since we covered the Acorn Collective on our channel here. I think that is a sign of things to come. It's at the very least a sign of increased awareness and engagement, which we all know is pivotal in a peer-driven economy like cryptocurrency. So I'm very excited to see that growth happening. And the two announcements I have for you straight from the team are that the bounty program will launch next week, along with their announcement for the platform on Bitcoin Talk. So I'm hoping that announcement on Bitcoin Talk equals community interest and engagement, which will then funnel down into the bounty program, which will then in turn generate more community awareness. So that bodes quite well for the Acorn Collective, with more things to come in the future. And finally, touching on Bloom, it is good to see an announcement of this caliber coming from the team. I was getting a little bit worried about maybe them being a little bit too quiet, with, of course, a lot of things happening behind the scenes. And now we see why team announcements have perhaps been a little bit more quiet compared to other ICOs. They have given us a full 2017-2018 timeline with progress to date. If you have a look at their snapshots, UI interface for Bloom, invitation and voting system, they were aiming for January 2018, it's done. Having a look at working with 5 initial lending partners in March 2018, it's already done. Those partners, by the way, include EtherX and ETHLend, 2 names that a lot of people should be aware of in the crypto space. Security protocol was meant to be done in April next year. They've knocked it out of the park. Well done. And the Bloom invitation system and voting is capped off as well. And from this screenshot here, it seems that part of that UI, part of that voting system is actually going to be checking in with current investors as to where they want the Bloom team to do announcements or promotions next, which I think is quite a nice little touch. Then they, of course, go on to talk about the timeline moving into Q1 of next year, Q2 of next year, with the Bloom card aiming for Q3 next year, which is a pivotal part of the program. So some exciting things happening in the worlds of some of the ICOs that we've covered in previous days. Of course, if the community has anything they want me to look into in the future, chuck it in the comments section below, or talk to me where you find me on Slack or on Twitter. Otherwise, I'll keep bringing you ICOs that I find interesting. I have been your crypto enthusiast, and I'll see you next week.